I figure I owe you guys an update at this point. Blizzard never gave me an answer about the Profession Simulator, and it's just as well. Like I said, there's another project I'm working on which I'd prefer to keep secret for now. What I can tell you, though, is that it is not the Pearl Simulator. Don't get me wrong. I'd like to get back to the Pearl Simulator sometime soon, preferably around the time when Blizzard starts asking itself, I wonder what I should do for my next WoW expansion. I still think, for reasons that I listed in the Sea Witch video, that Sea Witches are the perfect addition to the list of classes. They'll have both spellcasting and ranged weapon styles of range damage, and both hero classes so far have been melee. And of course it fits the lore, since Azure would make a perfect main antagonist for an expansion. I could rehash my older videos until the cows come home, but I have something else I'd like to talk about. I've been crusading for Holy Paladins to get some kind of AoE damage since about the middle of beta. So far, it's all fallen on deaf ears, but at least Ghostcrawler actually addressed this issue in one of his tweets. He said, and I quote, "Holy has great CC, decent mobility, lots of instance, and good range damage. It's okay for them to have some limitations." Now, there are two things I'd like to say about this tweet. First of all, this says to me, Blizzard is not planning to fix this anytime in the foreseeable future. I'm sure that they've read forum posts that call for AoE damage to be added, but they're still not going to add AoE damage to Paladins. Even though this post is the opposite of what I wanted to hear, I'm glad he made it, because at least now we know where we stand. Secondly, I'd like to say that I agree with the general rule that each spec in each class should have some limitations, and I'll even go so far as to agree that Holy Paladins have a lot going for them. It's true, we do have pretty good crowd control, good mobility, lots of instance, good range damage. But what I don't believe is that the lack of AoE damage is a good limitation for Holy Paladins to have. I've given the reasons for this in previous videos. There are situations that a player can get into while leveling and soloing where they get mobbed, and a lack of AoE damage really hurts in those situations. They come up more often than you'd think, and those situations make Light's Hammer feel like a forced choice at level 90. And before level 90, you don't even have that. And I'm sure Blizzard has read the forum posts responding to this, I'm sure that they've read the responses to Ghostcrawler's tweet about it, and if the 5.2 patch notes are any indication, they have not yet changed their minds, so I think that a slightly more direct and old-fashioned approach is now called for. Paper letters. I've written a rough draft of a letter I'd like to send to Blizzard in the forums, and I could use some feedback on this letter. There's a link in the description, but I'd like to say that this isn't the first time that I've sent Blizzard a paper letter asking for Paladins to be improved, and I learned an important lesson from the last time I tried it. And no, the big lesson wasn't to be polite and respectful, I did that the first time. The big lesson actually is, state the problem, but don't suggest solutions. For legal reasons, Blizzard doesn't accept suggestions through the mail. The problem isn't that they aren't aware of potential solutions anyway. The forum is full of them, partially thanks to me. The problem is that Blizzard doesn't want to try those solutions in the first place. I figure that a letter will get the higher-ups to think that it's an issue, and then they'll get the developers to look into it. It's at least got a chance to work, so I figure it's worth trying. I haven't gotten much feedback on the letter yet, though I do know I need to make it a point that lugging around strength gear takes up a lot of bag space. Of course, Blizzard's solution to that might be to change Equipment Manager so you can store gear in it, but, well, who am I kidding? That would solve the problems too. In any case, please have a look at my rough draft and let me know if there are any improvements I can make. If you want to copy the letter and send it in yourself to try to lend more weight to the issue, you can go ahead. I'm not sure whether a dozen letters will really have more weight than one, though.